Okay, so if we're looking at digestive stuff, we obviously want to be starting to look into the abdomen area. So that's going to be from here to here, right? And from here to here. So if we have feet relaxed, we can kind of see that there's some wrinkling in through that area. So we could be looking at the constitution. I'm seeing a little bit of discoloration here into the liver area. And I'm also seeing a little line coming into there. I'm going to just try and work through and stress cues. Okay. Left foot. There, you can see the stomach kind of popping out there. And it feels puffy. All right. So the first thing that I'm going to do is working through the stomach reflex. So I'm going to first just kind of go into it. And one technique I really like is that my thumb doesn't do the work. I actually have their foot performing the work. So I keep my thumb pretty much still and I'm just rocking in through here. What is that for sensitivity for you? Is it sensitive? Is it tender?
It's a little tender. It's like...
So out of 10, if 10 was like you wanted to pull your foot away and 7 was getting to be intolerable?
Yeah, like 4.
4. Okay, great. So that tells me that I can apply a little bit pressure if I need to. Okay, I'm going to come into the nerve innervations of the stomach, and that's more tender. So is it the actual stomach that's challenged, or is it the nerves? So I'm just going to press and hold. Whenever I'm doing a nerve innervation technique, I use my other thumb to press and hold onto the nerves. And I'm holding for at least 12 seconds. Then I move to the next vertebrae and hold for 10 seconds. Breathing, moving the energy in through the nose and out through the mouth, getting the two hemispheres of the brain to connect. Then I'm just gonna start to decompress the spine, pulling up on each of the vertebrae. There it is. Okay, so this is on one of the reflexes maps. This is kind of coming down to the bottom of the esophagus, so coming into that cardiac sphincter. So my mind starts going to, am I looking at a neurotransmitter thing? Am I looking at a gastric emptying thing? I don't see too many signs of acidity right now, so it's maybe not the hydrochloric acid. Okay. Now next, I'm going to come into the spleen, or sorry, the pancreas diagnostics. So we have stomach here, then we have pancreas here, and duodenum here for diagnostics. So I'm coming right into here for the pancreas. That's more tender there. Okay. So I'm going to come and press and hold there. And breathing. So then when I work with reflexes, I try to see how it flows, right? Because I'm trying to get everything to go up into the brain. So I'm noticing as I come onto this that I'm seeing little areas kind of clamping. So it's not necessarily getting up as much as I might like to. So another technique is that while you're holding a reflex, you can make movements like so to encourage flow. And you'll literally start to feel the reflex shift. So for you, did that tenderness go down for you? Mm-hmm. So it's really kind of a good technique to help everything move. Because if a reflex is tender, there's a desire to tense up and clamp down on the energy. So to provide a little bit of movement for the brain to somewhat distract it away from what I'm doing is going to be helpful. Now looking up into the leg area here, you can see that there's a little bit of a puff pot right there. It's not so bad, but a little bit. On this side on the left leg, it is pancreas. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to 4-finger walk it while I'm working on the pancreas. Is that tender in there?
Oh, yeah, that one spot there where the 4 finger was. It almost feels a bit like numb.
Okay.
Me.
Getting more sensation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'm feeling that this reflex now in the foot has completely changed. I don't feel any tenderness or blockage in there anymore. Okay. So then I'm going to move on from there. When you sat down, you could tell your digestive stuff. Like you could feel it.
Yeah.
And where were you feeling it? If you could point to it.
I feel like this whole kind of
like up higher.
Yeah, like a bit higher.
Right
Yeah.
in through here.
Yeah. Like
So she's kind of pointing around to sort of the diaphragm area. So a technique that with the stomach energy, we want the stomach energy to actually go down. So I'm going to come into the diaphragm area and I'm going to here and on the dorsal side as well. Okay. And then I like to get right onto those net heads and then pull down as if you're imagining yourself grabbing onto the diaphragm and pulling it down. Grabbing onto the diaphragm, pulling it down. And then getting up under the diaphragm. Okay, and then digestive stuff. I like to go in the circle of the digestive system. Okay, and then in cases of constipation, I do like to work with the farthest point of the digestive system, coming into the anus and the rectum, and following that colon area. Okay. And then I'm going to come onto the other foot here and transverse colon. You okay with that pressure?
yeah. Feels a little crunchy and
Yeah. Okay. And I'm gonna knuckle press into that appendix ileocecal valve. Oof. Now, the knee doesn't have a lot of blood flow. So the knee can be a place where reflexes get stuck. So if you feel like a reflex isn't releasing within sort of a 10-second realm time frame, you can come and just nicely effleurage the knee and feel the reflex shifting. You're just helping it to pass through where there's just a bunch of cartilage and, it's not a ton of blood vessels. So just helping it to move through. There, that's changed already. Changed for you?
Mm-hmm.
There. Now, the colon here is attached to the psoas and the hip flexors, right? Comes in through here, goes all the way up in through the hip, literally attaches to the colon. So sometimes I like to give a little bit of movement in through the hip just to let the body pay attention to what's going on in there. When they're on the table, it's a little bit better because I can actually see movement going into the colon. Another thing that I can do actually as well is that I'll hold this. So I'll get into the reflex and I'll actually put my hand onto the area where I want the energy to go. So if I have my finger on the reflex here, and you'll feel sometimes when you get onto the right reflex that it will actually change in the local area of the body. And so I'll actually palpate onto the local area of the body. Is it tender?
Mm-hmm.
Like where I'm pressing it with my thumb?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if it's tender there, then I'll come back and palpate on the reflex. Okay. And then core muscle. And there I can start to feel it move. Okay, so the legs can be a place where the energy gets stuck. So providing a little bit of movement is not a bad thing. Can you feel that releasing in your foot? Yeah. And how is the stomach part feeling?
Good, more relaxed.
So if you were to say 0 is 0% improvement and 10 is 100% improvement, what would you give it?
Like 30.
30? That's pretty great. From a 15-minute treatment. Okay.
This feels like a flash of energy, I guess. Not feel way more.
Yeah. So then there are a couple of really good points to know as well in Ayurveda. They have 2 marma points right at the heel line area. It's also a stomach or a small intestine point, which is your fire element and get things moving. And so that's right here. And so you can press in for 5 seconds at a decent pressure. And then you come off. And then you go in a little bit deeper. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Coming back off. And another more gentle one. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. All right. So that is a little technique to work on some gas and bloating and just like that upper stomach sort of distension. Is that what you would kind of say it feels like? A little more. Okay.